Hello, fellow seekers. We've got some messages to bring forward today. It's Thursday, April 19th, and we're here to bring forward messages from both Spirit and the higher beings of light. And let's go ahead and get started and see what they have to say today. Again, I work with paper and pen, so I will be looking at this as I take down the information that's brought forward to me, and then I'll be recounting it back to you. Okay, the message that we've got coming forward is for somebody whose name starts with an M. They're giving me the name Maria, but keep in mind that when Spirit communicates names to me, they're giving them to me phonetically. So it could be somebody whose name starts with M, sounds like M, or has an Aria, Ia sound to it. So let's see what information is about to come forward here. Okay, we've got somebody named, again, remember with names, it's phonetic. So we've got a spirit here whose name starts with a J, sounds like Joe, Joe. And this spirit is stepping forward for a message. Just a second as I keep track of this. I feel like this individual passed away in a workplace accident. It feels like a fall or something falling on them. Okay, I feel like it was unexpected. So the individual would have been working unaware that they were either in a risk situation where they were likely to slip or going to slip, or where something was above them or around them that could possibly have fallen on them. So basically they didn't see this coming. I feel like the passing was quite instant. I do feel like there was a period of time where they survived the accident. It feels like maybe minutes, and then they passed. I feel like in the process of passing, the spirit felt shock. They were in a point where they didn't see this coming. And so the process of passing, when they crossed over, even in that crossing over process, they were in a state of shock. So that doesn't mean that they're suffering on the other side, or that their spirit is somehow in limbo or struggling to be in the spirit world. It simply means that in that process of crossing over, once they reached the other side, there was still a process of shock. That's what they're trying to do here, is communicate how unexpected this event and this accident was for them. So please bear that in mind. There isn't any suffering going on the other side. When people do cross over, please know that they're at peace, and then they're not suffering any consequence of their passing, or that they're somehow struggling to make peace with where they are. Okay? All right, so let's see what he's got to say here. I feel like this was an individual who was married, and it feels like it would have been a sort of a longer term marriage. So this individual would have been, I feel like, somewhere in their midlife, so late 40s, 50s, maybe even early 60s. So they had been in this marriage for quite some time. And I feel like they left behind adult children. So when I say adult children, I mean children that no longer require dedicated parental attention. So they're not kids anymore. They don't need you to clothe them, feed them, but they may not necessarily be in their 30s either. They could be in their late teens, but old enough to be able to fend for themselves and move forward with their lives if necessary. So what he's doing here is acknowledging the family that he left behind and trying to provide some evidential information to those that are listening right now. Okay, so let's see what else he's got to say here. Okay, I'm just going to take down what he's telling me here. Okay, he's saying that I know that I left you well. So I feel like when he crossed over, he would have left behind a legacy that would have sustained the family that was left behind. They would have been taken care of, either through financial means or material means of some sort. And he also wants the family to know that he continues to be around, in particular for those special moments. I feel like he would have recently attended a family wedding, so there would have been some kind of major celebration. I'm using wedding, but it could have been a christening, it could have been It could have been, an Easter party, but something of real significance for the family, like a major event. This wouldn't be just like a family dinner. It would have been something of larger consequence, okay? And I feel like this was recent. I feel like it would have been in the spring. So I'm not clear if it's this spring that it just happened or last spring, but there's something about the spring that this took place in, and that he was there. And he's saying that whoever's receiving this message, he's saying, you knew I was there. You felt me. Okay? And he's passing on his love. And he wants to say, and he's coming across as very serious now. He wants to say that he did the best he could in life, that he had his imperfections, and he acknowledges those imperfections, and he acknowledges that he could have been a better husband and better father and better son. I'm not sure why he's bringing that up, but he's calling that one out as well. But he's saying that he takes responsibility for where he could have been better, and he wants you to know that on the other side he's learned about himself, and he's learned different ways of handling situations and events and his own pain in a more constructive way. Okay, so and he's closing off and he's stepping back. So we thank him for coming forward, and hopefully this message resonates with the person who's going to receive it. Okay, we've got something now coming forward from the higher beings of light. Okay, so this is a general message for the community as opposed to just a single individual. But keep in mind that the message that just came forward from Spirit, there's something in it for all of us. So I want everybody to, if you need to, go back and re-listen to that message, because there's information in there of value to all of us, lessons that we can take away, that Spirit has learned, that we can apply to our lives today. Okay? All right, so from the higher beings of light, okay, they're talking about a stressful economic period. And I feel like this message is being cast, this is going to sound a little odd for those of you that have listened to these messages, in particular the Canadians, but this is a message that's being cast outside of Canada, outside of our immediate locale here. I feel like this is a message for individuals that are suffering economically. This to me feels like it's going out to sort of a small town type community, village type community. It actually honestly feels like it's going across the border down to the U.S. So I am going to ask the Americans that may be listening to this to pay particular attention here, because I feel like this message for them. I feel like there's lighter times ahead, they're saying. They're talking about holding God in your heart, and to know that while times are turbulent now, that I feel like those times in a short period of time, and keep in mind when Spirit says short, they don't mean like a week or 2 weeks. They're talking about short being in sort of a short number of years, so 3 to 5 years type thing. I feel like things start to turn around, that you start to see some improvements in the economic situation. I feel like that comes as a result of opening up trade. I feel like there's some kind of shift in how trade is managed or accomplished for those communities, the types of things that go outside of those communities that are sold, whether it's within the United States or beyond the borders of the United States. I feel like there's some kind of a change that happens that permits those goods to find a broader market and new markets that haven't previously had access to these types of good. I feel like it's like farming and manufacturing type goods. So these are things that you would, so crops, I have not a super great understanding of the types of things that are manufactured in sort of smaller communities in the US. I mean, it could be all over the place, but I do feel like it's things like furniture or furnishings or fixtures, the types of things that you find in homes or buildings. I don't feel like it's things like cars or electronics, but I do feel like it's like physical goods that you would find in a home or in some kind of building, in some kind of like, you know, faucets, chairs, piping, wiring, that kind of stuff. I feel like those are the types of things that we start to see an uptick on. And also crops. I feel like large mass crops, there's some kind of uptick in those as well. And I feel like they're going into sort of existing and some newer markets. So again, the message from the higher beings of lights here is for people to just trust and know that better times are around the corner, and to not feel that hopelessness that nothing will ever change. I feels like that these communities, whomever they may be, have been suffering for quite some period of time. And I feel like that suffering is a consequence of confusion in terms of how to take these goods that these communities are producing and how to position them or market them or communicate them beyond those communities into broader markets. So just know that somewhere in that window of, feels like 3 to 5 years, I know that feels like a long way out, but what the higher beings of light here are trying to do is make sure that you don't lose hope, that you keep hope in your heart, and perseverance and courage to continue to forge forward and not give up on those communities, and trust that those things will manifest and that those economic times will turn. In the meantime, to just continue to persevere and work through possible options, and to do that homework at the municipal level, for example, to try to petition for access to trade delegations and to be part of trade delegations, to go outside of the immediate community to communicate the opportunities that your community can present to other markets. Okay, fellow seekers, that's today's message, kind of a mixed bag, a little bit of spirit coming through and some messages from the higher beings of light for the communities out there that may be struggling, and to know that there is hope around the corner. Thank you for joining me, and please feel free to share this video, and you can also visit me on my Facebook page at Paula Gill Psychic Medium, also on Instagram at Psychic Medium PG, and on Twitter at Psychic Medium PG as well. Thank you.